Today I want to talk to you guys about DIY wills and trusts and why they're not a good idea. And I'm going to do this by illustrating an example to you guys based on a real life scenario. It was a consultation I did recently. And again, we see these things all the time where people try to create their wills or trusts themselves. And oftentimes, unfortunately, because they weren't executed properly, they end up in probate anyway. So that's why it's really important just to consult with an attorney that is licensed in your state rather than doing DIY, because ultimately you're likely going to spend more money in probate than if you would have just done it right to begin with an attorney. So recently I had a client come to me. His stepfather had passed away. He was not adopted by his stepfather, but they did have a close relationship. So his stepfather was diagnosed with cancer, and he had been caring for his stepfather essentially on his own, even though his stepfather has 4 other biological children. What they did was, near the end of his life, his stepfather created a trust. The problem is the trust wasn't properly funded. So while the trust did evidence what he wanted done with his estate, he wanted his stepson treated just like his biological children so that he would also have a share in the estate. But unfortunately, he didn't fund the trust. There was real property that he intended for it to be split amongst, again, his biological children and his stepson. Created the trust, did not create the deed so that the property would belong to the trustee and eventually all of the beneficiaries. So because he didn't do that, we don't have a proper trust. And if this goes to court and the judge says, well, this trust isn't enough, and if that happens, then potentially it's subject to intestate laws. Now, what is that going to mean? That's going to mean that the stepson, the one who cared for the stepfather, who's always been in the picture, is going to be cut out of the picture because he was not legally adopted. He was just a stepson. And legally, according to intestate laws, he's not entitled to share in the estate with the biological children. So again, this is going to present quite the conundrum because once you get in probate court, you're going to have to notify all of the biological children, whether they're going to be agreeable to, honor the decedent's wishes and allow the stepson to share. You have 4 other children. So again, just a perfect example, I think, of why you should not do a DIY will or trust. And we're happy to assist. We're licensed in Florida. I'm also licensed in South Carolina, so please give us a call so we can further discuss your plans.